Hey guys, it's Jessica from Peace Love Books, and today I'm here with a review for Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. I was sent an arc of this from Simon & Schuster. All opinions are my own. I decided to pick this up because it is a standalone fantasy, and I have not read a YA fantasy in a while, so I decided to go ahead and give this a shot. This comes out June 4th, and this author, fun fact, went to my college. I went to Miami University of Ohio, and this author lives in Cincinnati, and she graduated from Miami, so I think that's really, really cool. I figured that out after I was finished reading, so Red Hawks all the way. But this is a fantasy, like I said, and it is about a girl named Elizabeth, and she was dropped off as a baby on the steps of a library, and since then she was raised in the library. And in this world, the library has books that are alive, so they have different kind of personalities, and they'll interact with you and like shake, and the higher up level the book is, the more dangerous it is. And so they have people who are protectors of the library, and they protect people from the most dangerous books, and there are sorcerers who are like aristocrats who bound themselves to a demon, and that way they have powers. And so what happens is, in the library Elizabeth lives at, there is a really bad book that is released, and Elizabeth has to try to take care of it, and then she is framed for the whole ordeal. So she has to go to court and be tried, and a sorcerer named Nathaniel is the one who helps her. So that's all I can say about the synopsis. I, going into this one, really loved how easy the world was to get used to. The author really set it up really well, so you kind of got a little bit of background of Elizabeth before any drama happens, of what her life is like in the library, who the characters are, how they all feel about each other, and you get introduced to Nathaniel before everything happens too. So you can really see how normal people like Elizabeth, how they feel about sorcerers, and how wrong she is once she gets to know Nathaniel. There is a romance in here that I really, really enjoyed, and it's not like the big plot of the story. The romance is kind of like a side plot because of what happens, and I really loved the romance. It was really adorable. When it came to the action, I do think that since this is a standalone, the action happened so quickly. When you get to series that are 3, 4, 5 books long, the action is kind of lacking in a lot of them because there's a lot of dead space that can happen because you don't want all the action and all the conflict to be resolved in one book. And so in this one, I feel like it was like action, and then we moved forward, then action, then move forward, and more action. So it was really well paced, and there was so many just like action-packed parts that there never really felt like a slow part, which I really appreciated because we had to get to the end and like solve this whole fantasy novel in one book. It's over 400 pages. It's about 430 based on my arc, and every minute of that we were thrown into action and her trying to figure out who to trust, what's going on, and I really love that. She does travel a lot to different places, which was really cool to see, and she's really trying to figure out who's behind all of this and if she can help save their society. And part of the reason I also love this book was because of the side characters. Nathaniel's demon was probably one of my favorite characters of the entire book, and I really loved the complex relationship between the demon and the master. He was really complex, even though he said he wasn't, and so I really enjoyed that. There's just so much going on in this book, and I really loved how Elizabeth kind of became part of Nathaniel's life, and he definitely has secrets of his own, and people in society see him as something. And so this is a kind of like historical fantasy. It reminded me a lot of the Infernal Devices series, so we had that 1800s-esque society where it's like not polite for a lady to be like out by herself kind of thing. And so that was a lot of fun in this, because even though it was a fantasy world, it felt like a historical fiction, which I loved that whole society aspect. I do really think if you love the Infernal Devices series, you will really, really enjoy this because it deals with demons, and there's a mystery behind who the bad guy is, just like Infernal Devices, and there's a romance going on, not as dramatic as the Infernal Devices series, but it was still a really fantastic romance, and I just really flew through this. I couldn't put it down. I think I read it in a day and a half. Like, I loved this, and so I definitely recommend this. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Like I said, it's a standalone, so it goes by really fast, and you feel satisfied by the end, and you're like, okay, that was a really good book. And it's really sad though because I'm not going to get more of these characters, but it was a really satisfying standalone, especially because standalone fantasies are so rare, and so I definitely loved this so much. If you have the chance, definitely pick this up in June. I cannot praise this book enough. I think it just had enough romance for my romance loving heart. It had enough action for someone who doesn't read a lot of fantasy, and it was so easy to get into, especially because I don't like big, huge, hard fantasies that are just hard to get into. This was really easy to get into, and I just love the world and everything about it. And I think as a bookworm, I love the fact that the library was so important to the entire plot line, and all the libraries in this world were so important, so that was a lot of fun as well. And that's all I have to share about this book. Let me know down below if you're interested in picking it up, or if you enjoy fantasy standalones, if you prefer a series. I'd like to know. And that's all I have. As always, thank you so much for watching, and have a good day. Bye.